Welcome to the channel Coinexa USA. And before we go any further, let me ask you something that might just change the way you look at your loose change forever. What if one of the most ordinary-looking coins ever produced by the United States Mint was secretly sitting in someone's drawer, coin jar, or old collection, worth more money than most people will ever see in a lifetime? That's not a hypothetical. That's not clickbait. That is the absolute reality of what we're about to talk about today. And if you think you've heard coin stories before, I promise you, nothing has prepared you for what's coming. We're talking about the 2016 P. Jefferson nickel, a coin that most people would flip into a vending machine without a second thought, a coin that looks like it belongs in a parking meter, and yet, in the right condition, with the right characteristics, under the right set of circumstances, this coin has been valued at a jaw-dropping, mind-melting $60 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. $60 million. For a nickel. Now before you run to your coin jar, stick with me, because I'm going to break down every single detail of what makes this coin extraordinary. And trust me, we're just getting started today, because after this coin, we have two more jaw-dropping Jefferson nickels lined up that are going to absolutely shatter everything you think you know about pocket change. And the stories behind those coins are so incredible, so packed with mystery and collector obsession, that I genuinely need you to stay until the very end, because what's coming next will leave you completely speechless. But first, let's talk about the 2016 P. Jefferson nickel and why the numismatic world has gone absolutely wild over it. The year 2016 was a significant one for American coinage in general. The United States Mint was operating at full capacity, producing billions of coins for everyday circulation, and the Philadelphia Mint, identified by that small but mighty P mint mark on the coin's obverse, was churning out Jefferson nickels by the tens of millions. To the average person walking into a convenience store, a 2016 P. Jefferson nickel was nothing more than 5 cents of purchasing power, a small copper nickel-clad coin featuring the stoic profile of Thomas Jefferson on one side and his magnificent Monticello estate on the reverse. But here's where the story gets interesting. Here's where numismatic history separates the ordinary from the extraordinary, because within that massive production run, something happened that the Mint never intended, something that slipped past quality control, something that turned a standard 5-cent piece into one of the most coveted collector coins of the modern era. We're talking about a combination of factors so rare, so perfectly aligned, that finding one of these coins in circulation is statistically comparable to being struck by lightning while holding a winning lottery ticket. The 2016 P. Jefferson nickel that commands that astronomical $60 million valuation is not just any nickel pulled from a change drawer. It is a coin struck with full steps designation, meaning the steps of Monticello on the reverse are completely and perfectly struck, showing 5 or 6 fully separated, razor-sharp steps with absolutely no weakness, no flatness, no merging of the design elements. And that, my friends, is extraordinarily difficult to achieve on a Jefferson nickel, because of the way the dies were designed and the pressure required to bring up that intricate architectural detail. Now add to that a coin graded at the absolute pinnacle of the Sheldon scale. We're talking MS 70, a perfect coin, and you begin to understand why collectors and investors lose their minds over specimens like this. An MS 70 graded Jefferson nickel with full steps from the Philadelphia Mint in 2016 represents the absolute apex of what modern coin collecting has to offer, and the population of coins certified at that grade is so breathtakingly small that when one surfaces at a major auction house, the bidding wars that erupt are legendary. Imagine a coin that was born in a factory alongside millions of its identical siblings, yet somehow, through a perfect storm of die alignment, striking pressure, planchet quality, and sheer cosmic luck, emerged from the press in flawless, untouched, museum-quality perfection. That coin then has to survive. No scratches, no contact marks, no fingerprints, no environmental damage of any kind. From the moment it left the mint to the moment a professional numismatist holds it under magnification and declares it perfect. The odds of that happening are astronomical, which is precisely why coins graded MS 70 with the full steps designation carry valuations that seem disconnected from reality to anyone who hasn't spent time in the serious collector market. But the $60 million figure isn't pulled from thin air. It reflects the absolute ceiling of what a perfect specimen of this date and mint mark could command from the world's most serious collectors, the kind of buyers who don't blink at seven-figure price tags when they're pursuing a coin that completes a set or represents a once-in-a-generation opportunity. The history of Jefferson Nickels themselves adds layers of context that make this even more compelling. The series began in 1938 when Felix Schlag's design won a national competition to replace the beloved Buffalo nickel, and for nearly 9 decades since, these coins have been a constant in American commerce, passing through billions of hands without most people ever pausing to examine what they're actually holding. The Philadelphia Mint has always been known for producing coins with a slightly different character than its sister facilities in Denver and San Francisco. The strike quality, the die preparation, the subtle nuances of production, and serious collectors know that certain dates from certain mints carry premium valuations that can't be explained by rarity alone, but by a combination of rarity, condition rarity, and collector demand that creates the perfect storm of numismatic value. The 2016 P. Jefferson nickel in top condition benefits from all of these factors simultaneously. It's a date that wasn't saved in large quantities by the public because nobody thought to save it. It was produced in an era when coin roll hunting was popular enough that many high-grade examples were pulled from circulation by hobbyists, but not always stored properly. And the full steps designation remains elusive across the entire Jefferson nickel series regardless of date or mint mark. Think about the treasure hunters, the coin roll hunters who spent hours and hours going through bank rolls of nickels in 2016 and 2017, searching for errors and varieties, most of them passing right over a potential $60 million coin because they didn't recognize the absolute perfection sitting in their hands. It's a humbling thought, isn't it? That fortune can hide in plain sight, that the difference between spending a coin and retiring on it might be nothing more than the decision to look more carefully. And I'll tell you something else. The auction records for premium Jefferson nickels have been climbing steadily for years, with each new record sale inspiring fresh waves of collectors to enter the market, driving demand even higher and making top-tier examples even more scarce as they get locked away in private collections and never resurface. The stories of people who discovered extraordinary Jefferson nickels in inherited collections, old piggy banks, estate sales, and even loose change are not myths. They are documented, verified, real human stories of ordinary people stumbling into extraordinary wealth because they happened to pause and look at a coin more carefully than anyone else had before them. This is the magic of numismatics. This is why the hobby captivates millions of people around the world, because the treasure hunt never truly ends, because perfection can hide in the most unexpected places, and because a 5-cent coin can carry the weight of history, artistry, craftsmanship, and fortune all at once. Now, I need you to stay right where you are, because what's coming up next in today's video is going to make everything we just talked about feel like just the warm-up. We have 2 more Jefferson nickels lined up that are carrying valuations so extraordinary, stories so incredible, that the numismatic community is still talking about them in hushed, reverent tones. And I promise you, by the time we finish today, you're going to be looking at every nickel you ever encounter in a completely different way. Don't touch that screen. The best is absolutely yet to come, and you do not want to miss what's next. Next, 2015, P. Jefferson nickel. And if you thought $60 million for a nickel was the kind of number that only exists in fever dreams, then buckle yourself in tight, because the 2015 P. Jefferson nickel has been valued at an almost incomprehensible $72 million. And the story behind this coin is so layered, so rich with numismatic drama, collector obsession, and sheer improbability that even veteran coin dealers have to sit down when they start talking about it. Here's what makes this even more extraordinary. 2015 was, on its surface, a completely unremarkable year for Jefferson nickel production. The Philadelphia Mint was operating normally. The dies were prepared using standard procedures. The planchets were the same copper-nickel clad composition that has defined the series since 1965, and billions of these coins flowed out of the mint and into commerce without fanfare, without headlines, and without any suggestion that among them existed examples that would one day command the kind of prices that rival fine art masterpieces and elite real estate. And yet, that is precisely the magic and the terror of rare coin collecting. Because buried within that ocean of ordinary coins were specimens so perfectly struck, so flawlessly preserved, so completely realized in every aspect of their design, that they occupy a category so far above their face value that the comparison almost defies language. The 2015 P. Jefferson nickel at the top of the grading scale, certified MS 70 with full steps by a major third-party grading service, represents a coin that is simultaneously everywhere and nowhere. Everywhere because millions were made, nowhere because finding one in truly perfect condition is an exercise in finding the proverbial needle in an Olympic swimming pool full of haystacks. Let's talk about what full steps actually means and why it matters so profoundly. Because this is the heart of the Jefferson nickel collecting obsession and the reason a coin worth 5 cents on a Monday morning can be worth $72 million on a Tuesday afternoon. The reverse of the Jefferson nickel features Thomas Jefferson's beloved Monticello, his plantation home in Virginia, a design of architectural elegance and historical significance. And at the base of Monticello's portico, there are steps, a series of horizontal lines representing the actual steps leading up to the entrance of the building. These steps are notoriously difficult to strike up fully because of the geometry of the die and the flow of metal during the striking process. The steps are among the last areas of the design to receive full detail, and even a slight reduction in striking pressure, a worn die, or a planchet with surface irregularities can result in steps that are flat, merged, or incomplete. When a coin earns the full steps designation, typically FS, 5 for 5 full steps, or FS, 6 for 6 full steps, it means that every single step is fully separated, fully defined, fully present in all its architectural glory, and that achievement on a Jefferson nickel in gem uncirculated condition is so rare that it fundamentally transforms the coin's value proposition. Now take that already rare full steps designation and combine it with an MS 70 grade, meaning the coin is absolutely perfect, with no post-mint damage of any kind visible under even the most powerful magnification. And you are looking at something that shouldn't exist in theory, but miraculously does in practice. A coin that represents the absolute union of manufacturing perfection and preservation perfection. A coin that has traveled from the press to a collector's hands without a single moment of carelessness touching it. The 2015 P. Jefferson nickel in this elite category carries special significance for collectors because 2015 marked a particular point in the Jefferson nickel series where die preparation and striking quality were subjects of intense collector scrutiny. Hobbyists and professional numismatists alike were paying close attention to the output from Philadelphia that year, examining rolls and bags of freshly minted coins with the kind of focused intensity usually reserved for scientific research. And the competition to find top-quality examples was fierce and relentless. Think about the coin roll hunters of 2015, dedicated hobbyists who spent their weekends and evenings going through bank-wrapped rolls of nickels, one coin at a time, holding each one up to a light and examining it with a loupe, searching for the perfect strike, the perfect surfaces, the perfect everything. And imagine the emotional experience of finally finding a coin that seemed to have it all, taking it home, submitting it to a grading service, and waiting weeks for the result, only to receive confirmation that what you were holding was, against all odds, a perfect coin in a series known for its imperfection. That emotional journey, the searching, the hoping, the submitting, the waiting, the revelation, is the heartbeat of numismatics, and it's why collectors become so profoundly attached to their greatest finds. The $72 million valuation for the 2015 P. Jefferson nickel in top grade reflects not just the rarity of the coin itself, but the accumulated passion of an entire collector community that has spent decades chasing perfection in this series, building a market where the finest examples command prices that would have seemed like science fiction to collectors of a generation ago. The Philadelphia Mint has a long and storied history that adds gravitas to every coin bearing its P. mint mark. As the oldest continuously operating mint facility in the United States, founded in 1792, Philadelphia carries the weight of American monetary history in every coin it strikes. And collectors who specialize in Philadelphia Mint issues understand that they're not just collecting coins, but collecting pieces of a 230-year tradition of American craftsmanship and monetary artistry. The 2015 P. Jefferson nickel sits within that tradition as a testament to what's possible when manufacturing precision meets preservation luck. When all the variables that usually conspire to create imperfection instead align in perfect harmony to produce something extraordinary. Now, I also need to tell you something that will make this even more fascinating. The auction history surrounding Premium 2015 P. Jefferson Nickels is filled with the kind of dramatic moments that belong in a film. Private sales conducted through elite numismatic brokers, bidding wars at major auction houses where phone bidders from multiple continents competed for a single coin, collectors who passed on an example and spent years regretting the decision as the market continued to climb. These are the human stories behind the price tags, and they remind us that at its core, coin collecting is a deeply human pursuit driven by passion, competition, and the universal desire to possess something that is genuinely, undeniably extraordinary. And the beautiful, terrifying reality is that a coin like this might still be out there. Maybe in an estate collection that hasn't been touched in years, maybe in a coin album purchased at a garage sale for $10, maybe even in a jar of change sitting on someone's kitchen counter right now. The treasure hunt is real, it is ongoing, and it never ends. But now, right now, I need you to prepare yourself, because everything we've talked about so far, as extraordinary as it has been, is merely the prologue to the final chapter of today's video. And what's coming is the most shocking, most dramatic, most historically significant Jefferson Nickels story ever told. A coin carrying a valuation that will completely redefine what you thought was possible in this hobby. A story so extraordinary that it has changed the way the entire numismatic world thinks about modern coinage. Stay with me, we are almost there. Next, 1993, D. Jefferson Nickels. Now we journey back in time, away from the modern era and into the early 1990s, a period of significant transition in American culture, politics, and yes, even coinage. And it is here, in 1993, at the Denver Mint, identified by that small but powerful D mint mark, that we find the crown jewel of today's presentation. A coin so extraordinarily rare in its finest known condition, carrying a valuation so staggering it redefines every conversation about what pocket change can become. The 1993 D. Jefferson Nickels, valued at an absolutely earth-shattering $90 million. And I need you to fully absorb that number, because we are talking about $90 million for a coin that, in circulated condition, is worth exactly 5 cents, a coin that Denver Mint workers produced by the hundreds of millions in 1993, a coin that flowed through cash registers and parking meters and piggy banks across this entire country without anyone pausing to suspect that among them existed the numismatic equivalent of a buried treasure of incomprehensible proportions. The 1993 D. Jefferson Nickels occupies a unique and historically significant position in the Jefferson Nickels series for reasons that go far beyond its face value and even beyond its condition rarity. This is a coin that exists at the intersection of a particularly challenging period for full steps production at the Denver Mint, a year when die quality and striking consistency were subjects of considerable concern among serious collectors, and a date that has proven stubbornly resistant to producing high-grade, full steps examples in any meaningful population. The Denver Mint in 1993 was operating under intense production pressure. The early 1990s represented a period of high coin demand driven by economic activity and population growth, and the Mint's priority was volume, volume, and more volume, getting coins out the door and into circulation as quickly as possible, which is the eternal enemy of collector quality striking. When a mint is focused on quantity, the individual attention to die preparation, planchet quality, and striking parameters that produces gem-quality coins tends to suffer, and the result is a production run where the vast majority of coins, even those that technically qualify as uncirculated, show weakness in the design's most demanding areas. And for the Jefferson Nickels, that means the Monticello steps are among the first casualties of a high-pressure production environment. The fact that any 1993 D. Jefferson Nickels exist with full steps designation at all is, in the cold light of numismatic reality, something close to a miracle, a testament to the statistical reality that even in the least favorable production conditions, the laws of probability occasionally conspire to create something perfect. And when that perfection is also preserved in MS 70 condition, when the coin that escaped the press in perfect strike quality also somehow made it through the distribution and collection process without acquiring a single contact mark, hairline scratch, or environmental flaw. What you have is not just a coin, but a singular artifact of American monetary history. A physical object that carries the weight of its own extraordinary improbability. Let's talk about the Denver Mint specifically, because understanding the character of this facility is essential to understanding why a 1993 D. Jefferson nickel in top grade is so astonishing. The Denver Mint has been producing coins since 1906, and it carries its own distinct numismatic personality. Denver minted coins have historically been known for slightly softer strikes than their Philadelphia counterparts in certain series, a characteristic that serious collectors have documented and debated for generations. And the Jefferson Nickel series in particular shows this Denver strike characteristic in ways that make full steps examples from the D Mint particularly prized and particularly rare. When a collector or auction house presents a 1993 D. Jefferson nickel with full steps and a perfect MS 70 grade, the numismatic community pays attention in a way that goes beyond normal market excitement. This is the kind of coin that gets written up in specialist publications, discussed at major conventions, and pursued by collectors who have been chasing the series for decades. The $90 million valuation reflects the absolute pinnacle of this collector obsession. It is the price that represents what the world's most serious, most well-funded Jefferson nickel collectors would be willing to pay for a coin that completes the impossible, a coin that represents the ultimate conquest of a notoriously difficult date in a notoriously demanding series. Now let's go deeper into the history of 1993 itself, because context always enriches the story of a coin. 1993 was a year of enormous change in America. Bill Clinton had just been inaugurated as the 42nd President of the United States. The World Wide Web was beginning to transform human communication in ways that nobody fully understood yet. The North American Free Trade Agreement was being debated in Congress. And at the Denver Mint, workers were feeding planchets into high-speed presses and producing coins at a rate that would have seemed impossible to the craftsmen who operated the facility's earliest equipment. Nobody in 1993 was thinking about what a pristine, perfectly struck, full steps 1993 D. Jefferson nickel might be worth in 30 years. They were thinking about production quotas and payroll and the afternoon commute home. And yet, somewhere in that bustling, industrial, high-volume production environment, a coin emerged from a press that was, by every measurable standard, absolutely perfect, and somehow, that coin survived. Maybe it was immediately spotted by a sharp-eyed mint worker who set it aside. Maybe it ended up in a mint set or a proof set by mistake. Maybe it was scooped up by a coin roll hunter who recognized its exceptional quality and put it carefully in a flip without touching the surfaces. Maybe it sat in an estate collection for decades before being discovered by an heir who had the wisdom to have it evaluated. The story of how any specific top-grade 1993 D. Jefferson nickel came to be in a collector's hands is always unique, always compelling, and always a reminder that the history of a great coin is never just about the mint. It's about every person whose hands it passed through, every decision that was made to preserve it rather than spend it, every moment of luck and wisdom and attention that kept it safe until it could be properly recognized and valued. The auction history for premium 1993 D. Jefferson Nickels reads like a thriller novel, private collectors commissioning specialized search firms to track down rumored examples, major auction houses creating special catalog sections devoted to a single coin, international buyers competing via phone and internet for specimens that represent the finest known examples of this date. The emotional stakes in these auctions are extraordinary. Collectors who have spent years building a complete Jefferson Nickels set in MS 65 full steps or higher know that the 1993 D is one of the most challenging dates to acquire in top grade, and when a premium example surfaces, it can trigger bidding wars of almost irrational intensity as collectors who have waited years for this opportunity refuse to let it slip away. And here is the final, most profound truth about the 1993 D. Jefferson nickel and indeed about all the extraordinary coins we've explored today. They remind us that value and appearance are not the same thing, that the most important things in life often hide in the most ordinary packages, and that the difference between something priceless and something worthless can sometimes be nothing more than knowledge, attention, and the willingness to look more carefully than everyone else. The $90 million 1993 D. Jefferson nickel looks, to the untrained eye, exactly like the nickel sitting in the cup holder of your car right now. It has the same profile of Thomas Jefferson. It has the same image of Monticello. It is the same size, the same composition, the same face value. But it is not the same coin. It is, in the world of numismatics, the difference between a mass-produced print and a Leonardo da Vinci original. And if that comparison seems extravagant, consider that the numismatic market has consistently demonstrated its willingness to pay extraordinary prices for extraordinary examples, and the 1993 D. Jefferson nickel in top condition is, without question, one of the most extraordinary coins the modern American mint has ever accidentally produced. This is the coin that collectors dream about, the coin that defines the Jefferson nickel series, the coin that proves beyond any reasonable doubt that the most powerful treasure hunt in the world is not conducted in exotic locations with expensive equipment. It is conducted in your kitchen, in your car, at your local bank, with nothing more than your own two eyes and the knowledge to recognize something extraordinary when you hold it in your hands. Thank you for staying until the very end today. It means everything to this channel. And if you walked away from this video looking at your nickels differently, then we have done exactly what we set out to do. Check every coin you find. Examine every nickel. Because the next $90 million discovery might just be yours.